Another month, another wrap up. I feel like these are the only videos I have the time to film right now, but hey, if this is the first time you're seeing my face, I'm Paige, and I am here to do my monthly reading wrap up. This year, I challenged myself to try to read all of the unread books on my shelves, and I had 241 at the start, but I've been slowly making progress, and now I have under 200 left. Will I complete this challenge? TBD, considering we're already basically halfway through the year at this point, but listen, I have read more books this year than I read last year already, so I'm considering that a win. So where was I at the start of May? I started the month off with 188 unread books left on my shelf, and then I acquired a book which brought me up to 189. But it was a book that I was really excited for, so I'm not gonna hold it against myself. It was The Lady's Guide to Scandal, an arc of it, because this isn't out until July. And luckily, one of the publicists I work with had extra copies, and she was willing to part with one for me. And I read it basically immediately. I brought it to Barbados and read it with my eyeballs, which is rare because I listen to a lot more audiobooks now. Really enjoyed this one. I enjoyed it a little bit less than The Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting. That one was like one of my favorite books of last year overall, but it was still a solid follow-up, and it takes place in a bath, which it sort of reminded me of, what's that show, Sanditon? I also watched that while I was in Barbados. I was very much in a Regency mood because of the Queen Charlotte show that came out, so it was great to be able to get to that one. And then I also unhauled a book. I brought 8 or 9 books with me to Barbados, and I ended up reading 4 of them, but one of them I gave to my mom so she could read on the plane when she was going back from Canada to Barbados. So accidentally unhauled it kind of, because I didn't even really remember when I told her to take the book that, hey, you're doing the challenge, you were supposed to read it. So that brought me back down to 188 unread books. And then I read 10 this month, which is better than last month. Still not as high as my 21 in January, but I don't know what I was on or how I freaking did that, honestly. So that brought me down to 178 books at the beginning of June. I was actually on a pretty big nonfiction kick this month. Half of my reads this month ended up being nonfiction, and I just feel like I'm gonna continue that kick because it's something I can listen to while I'm doing like work that doesn't require brain thought, like designing things, doing Excel, things that I don't have to like think actively about. I can end up listening to a nonfiction book while I'm doing it, and I think that's how I ended up getting through 3 books last week, which I haven't been able to do in a minute. So to no one's surprise, my favorite and least favorite picks are both nonfiction. Starting with my least favorite, it was How to Do Nothing. This is supposed to be about the attention economy and how capitalism sort of impacts the way that we choose to spend our time, as well as just like society in general. It was fine for what it was, but I did read other books similar to this in terms of the topic earlier this year, like 4,000 Weeks, which I enjoyed a lot more, and this skewed a little bit more academic, and I think that's why I enjoyed it a little bit less than 4,000 Weeks. And I feel like that is a common complaint that some readers have when they pick this one up. So just be warned, if you want to read a book about like time management, the way we organize our attention span, I would recommend 4,000 Weeks over this one. And then my favorite, which is a completely different wheelhouse, was The Ex-Boyfriend Yard Sale. This is perfect for people who love Dolly Alderton, specifically her debut essay collection. I feel like this is a very similar vein in terms of the sense of humor and the way the author approaches the topic of love. It's about a girl who is severely in debt and decides to come up with a show to sell her ex's gifts that they gave to her that she still has, and she's exploring what the value of love is through a formula of like how to calculate the cost of these items. It just was a very interesting exploration both of capitalism, which is like a through line of the book, and how we assign value to specific things in our life. And it just has that very specific like early to late 20s trope where you're trying to figure shit out. If you read books like that, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, I definitely recommend this one. And that's where we are at the end of May. I currently have like 4 or 5 books on the go just because I'm flitting between different audiobooks depending on what my mood is. But the one I'm most excited that I'm currently reading is Meet Me at the Lake. I also have to think about books that I'm gonna pack for BookNet Fest. Even though I'm only there for 5 days, I'm only bringing 1 book. I've learned every time I go to BookNet Fest, I'm like, I'm going to a book thing, I'm gonna read. No, I don't read. So maybe that's the book I'll bring to BookNet Fest if I've not finished it yet already, even though that's next week, so could very well still be reading it. Anyway, if you're going to BookNet Fest, let me know. If you haven't heard about it, I'm leaving a link in the description so you can figure out if you want to come. It's in Orlando. It's gonna be a fun time. It's gonna be a bunch of bookish creators. I'll be vlogging it probably, and it's my, I think, 4th year going, and I'm really excited to be there in person because I wasn't able to go last year and see all my friends, and it's gonna be a really excited time. So probably not gonna read a lot in June because I have a lot of social plans between that and Pride, but Listen, we're slowly making progress and that's what counts.